Hello, welcome back to the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg, and if you are just joining us here for the very first time, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. If you are returning, I say it every single week, thank you also for being here, because without you guys turning up, tuning in, and all the rest of it, I'd be quite literally talking to my camera in our spare bedroom of our house, which I think that would somewhat classify as actually psychotic or something like that. I'd probably be looking at a mental asylum long term. So, I appreciate you guys being here. Anyone who tunes in, thank you very fucking much. So let's rip the fuck in. Today's episode, we're going to be rocking similar theme to what we've been looking at over the last few weeks. Today's episode is called the Anti-Comfort Blueprint. Basically, what we're essentially discussing is that comfort is ending your potential. And the reason I actually wanted to do this episode more than anything is generally the exact same reason I want to do basically any episode I do on this podcast. And that is because it is almost a slight aspect of self-reflection, but it's also lived experience. So quite a lot of the and everything like that I obviously like to cover on this potty are just my own shit that I've gone through. Now, these are either positive, negative, anything you can think of. I would love to try and share an insight into, how I've navigated it or what I've done or what that's looked like for me. And if you've been listening for a while now, you will note that that is how I've always wanted to operate. I tend not to try and talk about the things that haven't necessarily either affected myself or I don't know enough about them, because at the end of the day, I don't believe that that's authentic. And if I'm going to be talking on a topic, I want to at least have had some lived experience in it. Besides, even last week's episode where we're talking about fatherhood and things like that, right? Like, I loved that episode with Trav. If you haven't heard it, please go back and listen to that one episode. That is one of my favorite episodes that I have ever recorded. So that's season 2, episode 6 with Travis Jones. Genuinely one of my favorite conversations I've had. And I mentioned in that potty that one of my biggest goals in life is quite literally just to become a father. That's all I really want in life. Everything I'm doing from a business sense, everything I'm doing within my personal life is all just designed to set myself up to be the best possible father that I can be to future children, kids, child, who knows? There's a few steps I've got to get involved first before I can just go start having kids. But it's great to listen to dads who are absolutely killing it. So please go back and listen to that episode if you haven't. But on today's topic, we're pretty much just going to rip straight in because it's a little bit of I wouldn't say longer one, but it will definitely have some weight to it. Now, one of the things that I have noted when it comes to people, goals, ambitions, etc., is that they don't fail because they're lazy. They actually fail because they get too comfortable. Now, it kind of plays into, it creeps in subtly. Comfort creeps in, and what most people don't realize is when you are somebody who is striving for more, striving for better, you will generally find that by the time you continue to push through, achieve your goals or whatever the case might be, that you do actually become comfortable. Now, this can be either a representation of, let's just say you finished a cut. You've done, you've gone and dropped your 10 kilos that you wanted to, and you're feeling fucking good. You're in the best shape of your life. All of a sudden, a couple of the habits that you'd built and established just kind of go by the wayside a little bit. You're not tracking your calories as much. You're saying yes to a couple more sweet treats on the weekend. All of these little things, like you skip a gym session here or there, or your steps may not be perfect on one day. And I have 1,000% been guilty of this in the past. I've done cuts and then basically gone and just fucking reversed straight away because I'm like, oh, well, time to go eat now. And it's just from a point of being comfortable, because now all of a sudden you've achieved this goal and you're like, okay, well, what next? I don't really have anything, so I'm just going to go back to normal life. And instead of reestablishing that as the baseline, you've now gone and essentially made it almost null and void, because you have gone and redone basically what you were doing before you achieved that goal and sort of fallen back into some old, maybe not so much desirable habits. Now, The biggest thing is like, there's a progression of this, right? Like you start with ambition. You start off strong. You start off ready to fucking tackle it on. You build some momentum, life stabilizes, and you just stop pushing. All of a sudden, the standards drop. Spoken 2 episodes ago is about establishing standards in your day to day. As I just mentioned, a couple of examples there. They just quietly drop off. It's not dramatic. It's not all of a sudden you've gone from doing A and now you've just completely gone in the other direction. But what it is it's a matter of, okay, oh yeah, I'm not going to get my steps today. That's okay. Oh, it's a little bit cold. I'm not going to get up and go to the gym as earlier. I'm not going to walk the dog. Or, oh, I don't really need a meal prep this week. Like I'm feeling good, etc., etc. And then all of a sudden, much like momentum builds in one direction, when you start to stack and establish habits, momentum starts to build in the other direction. And it is not the direction we want to be heading. It's pretty straightforward. Work. You've got a few different examples that you can utilize. You've got training, work, life, etc. Training, I've already given you a few examples. Work, if we're looking at staying busy instead of productive. A lot of people and a lot of business owners I know, and a couple of conversations I've actually, funnily enough, had this week is, as business owners, we have this weird ideology that we always have to be busy, that we always have to be working, and we always have to be on. And what I have found in the past, when I have done that myself and I've just filled time for the sake of filling time, I actually wasn't productive. I was getting less work done in more time because I was just filling the space with noise. You don't need to fill the space. You can actually just get shit done and be done for the day. You can get shit done and allow yourself downtime to relax. You're not falling behind just because you've taken an afternoon off if you've gotten all of your work done in that morning, or you're not, anything like that. And I think that that's a trap that we all fall into, whether you are a business owner or you're not. Even myself, as I said, I have fallen into that trap so many times where instead of just allowing myself the understanding that like, hey, I've actually done everything I needed to do today. I can actually take the afternoon off. I can go to the beach. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I go to the beach a lot anyway. That's the thing, is like I've essentially, and I hate the term earned, but I've earned that time because I have allowed myself that freedom and flexibility. I create and have created and curated my life to allow myself to go to the beach as frequently as I want. It's the reason I still get up at 3:45 a.m. every single morning. I'm walking Sammy by 4 a.m. I've already had my breakfast made. Everything's prepped, ready to go. I'm on my computer by 5 working, because that then allows me time in the afternoon to go and do the things that I want to do. That allows me the freedom and flexibility to go and do anything I really want, really. I can go to the beach. I can go do whatever the fuck I want because I have put the work in earlier in the day. People will then, they'll want to stay busy. So some people might look at that and be like, oh, I've got time in the afternoon, so I'm going to go and just fill it with just random shit that doesn't actually push the needle forward. It just kind of creates space. And then that's when they're like, oh, I'm so burnt out. I'm so busy. I'm so this, I'm so that. You're not actually. It's just a matter of you're filling space for the sake of filling space, when you would probably feel more productive if you just got shit done in allocated blocks. A little bit of a side tangent. This is something I'm actually, this is a conversation that I actually really enjoy having with people. Some life examples that I know we're all guilty of at certain points in time is, avoiding having hard conversations, staying in environments you've outgrown, and playing small socially. Avoiding hard conversations is the difference between where you are now and where you want to be. Oftentimes, people want success. They want to be achieving their goals. They want to do all these things in their lives, but they can't even have a hard conversation. If you think you can get through life without having a hard conversation with another human being, you've got another thing coming. And that might not just be in a work-related setting. That can be in relationships, whether that's your personal relationship with your partner or your friends or your family or whatever those cases might be. You are probably going to need to have some hard conversations at times. And again, I am someone who's so fucking guilty of this. I have avoided hard conversations, avoided them. And then all of a sudden it blows up and it's so much worse than it needed to be. Whereas in times where I have started to take control of situations and have the hard conversations straight off the get-go, it's like, bang, you have one hard conversation now, and that saves you 6 months of heartache. Or you let it drag on for 6 months, and then all of a sudden you're actually in a much worse state mentally, emotionally, potentially physically. And now you don't know where to go. You don't know how to get out of this sort of cage or trap that you've put yourself in because you can't have a hard conversation. It's very similar to staying in environments you've outgrown, whether again, that be socially or relationships or work-related settings or business or anything like that. Staying in environments you've outgrown, I've spoken about this before on the podcast, is detrimental. Now, a lot of people think that they have to stay in certain environments because they've invested time or they've invested money or they've invested energy. Like, it's the sunk cost fallacy. If you've never heard of that, the sunk cost fallacy is essentially people believe that because they've invested time or money into something that they have to stay with it. They have to stick with it. And that's not the case, because at the end of the day, and a really good quote or saying, I'm probably going to butcher this a little bit, is if you miss your, like if you're on a train and you miss your stop, you need to get off at the next stop. Sitting there and riding the train all the way just because you missed one stop is detrimental to where you're trying to go. Get off the train, turn around, go the other direction as soon as you possibly can. I've probably butchered the fuck out of that. You understand the idea, the theme behind what I'm trying to get at. Because comfort rarely announces itself. It disguises itself as rest, balance, or being busy. And I know there's probably a few of you who are listening and being like, okay, well, rest and balance are one thing, but then being busy, like, isn't being busy a good thing? We'll get into that, but yes and no, because rest is intentional recovery, and then comfort is unconscious avoidance. We're going to continue to dive in. At the end of the day, we want to ensure that discomfort is actually balanced across multiple areas of life, because too much discomfort in one domain creates burnout. I already mentioned that by filling space, let's say, for example, you're a coach, you're self-employed. You just fill your whole day, you're filling your calendar with just random shit because you want to be busy. Great. All of a sudden, you're feeling tired, you're feeling burnt out, you're feeling run down. And it's like, well, how much of the things that you're doing are actually productive and actually pushing the needle forward versus how much time are you just fucking spending doing the shit you don't need to worry about or the shit you don't need to be doing right now? As I said, too much discomfort in one domain creates burnout. Too little creates stagnation. Let's kick in. So we're going to break it down into essentially 4 pillars. And these are very similar to the pillars that we have broken things down to in the last couple of episodes. So this is why it's a continuation of the same theme. We're looking at physical discomfort. We're looking at mental discomfort, social discomfort, and financial discomfort. Now, if we're looking at physical discomfort, increasing, like understanding growth within physical is, examples are increasing training intensity, progressive overload, pushing conditioning, body composition phases, showing up when motivation is low. Because at the end of the day, physical discomfort teaches belief. It teaches discipline and self-belief. Again, you can probably start to see a similar theme rolling through here, right? Physical discomfort teaches discipline and self-belief. Those 2 things are paramount to everything we do in our day-to-day. I have said it time and time again. The things that we learn from being within the gym far exceed anything that happens within those 4 walls. When you start to show up for yourself every single day, even when you're a little bit tired, when you push yourself consistently, when you start to reap the benefits of the long-term growth that you're putting yourself within, you start to build that momentum. You start to build that confidence. You start to build that self-belief that you can do hard shit, which then carries through to other aspects of life. Because if you can do hard shit in one domain, then you can do hard shit in another domain. And that confidence, that self-belief, it drives motivation. It drives and builds discipline. And that is what we need to be able to grow in any of our areas of life, because you just prove to yourself you can do hard things. And doing hard shit is how you win. I am probably, I'm a fucking pretty woo-woo kind of guy, right? I love manifestation. I love the law of attraction. I love all of it. Living in the end, Neville Goddard, like all of that aspect of things. I am fucking way more spiritual and woo-woo than most people would probably realize. But I also understand that you still need to take action. I'm not just going to sit on my bed and go, well, I am manifesting that I'm going to get 50 clients and make X dollars, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and the love of my life is going to rock up to the front door. And then I just lay on my bed and do nothing and just lay there. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's going to happen. You have to still take action. Vision boards, goal setting, all of these different things, they still require you to just do something. Push the wheels into motion. So no matter what your goals are in life, you still need to take action. And that's going to be the be all and end all of everything. Mental discomfort, because this is where most people avoid the actual growth that is needed to get to the next level. We're talking about things such as skill development, learning new systems, studying when you'd rather scroll, deep focused work, and reading challenging material. The brain prefers easy dopamine tasks. There's a reason TikTok and Instagram Reels are so popular. It's because it's easy. What we're essentially wanting to do is create uncomfortable. We want to be a little bit uncomfortable. Hard thinking feels uncomfortable. Reading, challenging your beliefs, challenging your ideologies is uncomfortable. Learning new skills is uncomfortable because at some point you realize, hey, I actually don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But the best thing about that, and one of my most favorite and most exciting things about learning something new, is you suck at the start. And generally speaking, if you're somebody who has decided to push yourself out of comfort more than once, you actually get like way better a lot quicker than you would believe. And that just drives that motivation again, because all of a sudden you're taking skills that you've learned in one area or one domain, you're applying them to another area, and you're like, well, fuck, this isn't actually that hard. This is actually really interesting. Oh, I don't know what that means, or I don't know what that is, but I can learn. One of the biggest assets, I would say, to my success to date, from coaching, life, etc., is I've always been somebody who stayed inquisitive and loved learning. I have spent 6 figures plus on education. I ask questions. I probably ask questions more than most people do. And I know that there's been times where maybe sometimes people take it the wrong way if I question them or if I'm asking. And I will generally say, if I have to, like if somebody's taken it the wrong way, I'll say, I'm not actually asking because I don't believe what you've said or because I don't trust what you're saying. I'm asking because I just like to learn. I like to understand other people's thought processes. Why do you think that way? What has caused you in your life as a result of your experience to believe that that is the truth? Now, whether I agree with that person or not, I will generally always want to learn and understand why it is they actually think the way they think, why it is that they do the things that they do. There's been plenty of times where I've been in the gym and I see somebody who's doing an exercise or doing something really random. And when I was younger, I was a little bit like, well, that's fucking weird, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm kind of like, okay, well, why are you doing that? Like, what is it that you were trying to achieve that is being achieved as a result of you doing that exercise or doing things the way that you're doing them? And then oftentimes having that conversation and staying inquisitive actually allows you to open up your perspective to a whole range of different views. And again, you don't have to agree with that person. You don't have to believe what they've told you, but it still allows you another example of like, okay, well, this is a thought process that that person has. Well, maybe there's other people who think that way. Maybe I have clients who think that way. And if they come to me, or future clients, and they're like, well, do you know anything about this? And I'm like, well, yes, I do actually. So it's deciding to do things that make you a little bit uncomfortable over those little dopamine hits. And the way the world is nowadays, there's so many apps, there's so many different Like we've got things like Duolingo, right? Like let's look at Duolingo. And there's another app that I've used myself, which is called Imprint. Basically both the same premise. They're both learning / educational apps that are derived off of short form dopamine inducing activities. They've targeted the market of, okay, well, people have short attention spans. People love dopamine. We're going to give them both of those things, but we're going to couple it with education. Whereas if you look at TikTok, Instagram Reels, Instagram as a whole, all that sort of shit, it's dopamine, short form, and that's it. It's designed to keep you engaged, attention span at a minimum, and just scrolling. When you can look at other apps or anything like that, Duolingo, you get to learn new languages. Imprint is really good because it has a whole range of different topics that you can actually learn. A few of the ones that I've been really vibing with or enjoying have been the philosophy sections and then also financial sections, because learning about investing and learning about, how to create better long-term stability financially is something that is very, very important to me. But unfortunately, I don't know how to do it and I don't know where to start. So I've had to lean into that and be like, all right, well, I don't know how to do these things. I'm going to go and learn how to do these things so that I get better at understanding them. Social discomfort, because at the end of the day, we all get a little bit socially anxious. Let's be real. There's a couple of examples of actually pushing yourself through discomfort is speaking up in a room, setting boundaries, networking, public speaking, posting content, sharing opinions. Most people limit their growth because they're avoiding being seen. They fear judgment more than stagnation. People fear speaking up in rooms because they don't want to be the odd voice out. But what you'll generally find is when you do speak up, there's other people who have been too afraid that have the exact same thoughts, feelings, opinions that you do. And they actually feel seen, they feel heard, they feel appreciated, they feel understood because you have been the person that has been brave enough to stand up and say what you need to say. If you are able to come at things from a perspective of questioning, staying inquisitive, and trying to understand maybe someone else's point of view, when you're speaking up in a room, suddenly it doesn't become as scary. Suddenly you're able to back yourself. Setting boundaries, that's fucking scary. It's hard at first to set a boundary and then stick to it. Boy, oh boy. That's probably one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn in life is how the fuck to set boundaries and actually stick to them and understanding when it's time to walk away because those boundaries are not being adhered to. That is one of the most important things because people get so scared about what that might mean. Networking is fucking hard at first. When you go into a room full of people and you have to talk, it can be scary. And don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to get better at that. I've just gone and joined a group fitness gym at the moment. One of the main reasons why I did that is for the social aspect, trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit and actually talk to some other people. I'll be so real. It's still fucking hard to go and just talk to people, and everybody's there for the same thing. They're there because they want to train hard. They're there because they enjoy the early morning session or whatever the case might be. So you're all there for the same thing, just to get a little bit better. But still, some reason, there's days where I go in and I'm just a little bit, overwhelmed to a degree. But putting myself out, getting uncomfortable by doing those things more frequently helps. Public speaking, I don't even need to cover this one. Everybody has a weird fear of public speaking. And it's so interesting because public speaking has been something that I've always actually quite enjoyed. I'm quite confident when it comes to public speaking. I mean, I guess I probably wouldn't have a podcast if I didn't give a fuck about public speaking, but public speaking can be one that I understand why people get so intimidated by it. And oftentimes everyone has those same little thoughts creep in. It's, no, they're judging me. Oh, what if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? What if this? What if that? It's like, yeah, what if? What if you nail the fucking speech? What if you teach someone something new that they've never heard before and you change their entire way of thinking? What if somebody in that room listens and as a result is motivated and goes and changes the fucking world? What if you want to think about what if of all the negative things, think about what if about all the positive things. And that comes down to the same thing with posting content and sharing opinions. What if people don't agree with you? Okay. Do you agree with everything everyone says? No. So why the fuck does it matter if somebody doesn't agree with you? It doesn't. It just doesn't. Post the content. Put up whatever the fuck you want. If you enjoy it, or if you like it, if it's something you want to talk about, if it's something you're educated in and you want to teach others, do it. Post the fucking content. Just do the thing. Done. Financial discomfort. We all know this one. We all know, a couple of things that are obviously going to be creating a lot of growth, which is investing in education. I've already covered that one. Hiring mentors, starting businesses, taking calculated risks, investing time or money into development. Because at the end of the day, there's a difference between reckless risk and strategic investment. When we're essentially looking at risk mitigation strategies, it's probably not a good idea to take your weekly income and throw it on the pokies and hope that you're going to win. But what you could do is you could take that money and you could go and pay a financial advisor, or you could go and pay for a business course, or hire a mentor that can help you, or invest in education on a topic that you want to learn more about. Or if you're in a business or a coach or something like that, there's so many different weekend events, short courses, all of it that can help massively with your job. Now, it doesn't even have to be directly related to your job. My job as an online coach is probably primarily just seen as training and nutrition, correct? Yep. But what I've also gone and done courses in is obviously training and nutrition, but psychology, short form courses and things like that. I've gone and learned about video production, content production, little webinars on, fucking things about font, what fonts to use and how to make it more appealing. Shit like that, like these little mini courses that don't even have to be anything massive. They might take you 20, 30, 40 minutes to do, but it's just further education. Watching YouTube videos on how to make better content for YouTube, or make better thumbnails or something like that. Like, these are the types of things that you can just go and do and learn and look at that aren't necessarily what you would straight away think about, because most people are like, well, you're a coach, so you only learn about training and nutrition. And I'm like, well, there's only so much you can learn. The human body is really fucking crazy, and then you will always continue to learn. But 9 times out of 10, dependent upon the clientele that you work with, there's only so much you realistically need to know to be able to help those people. I've learned over my time that 90% of what I know, my clients just don't care about. All they really care about is, can I get them the results that they want, and can they chat to me if they need to? That's basically it. So obviously we want to be looking to pursue growth across all different areas. And the way in which we do this is by implementing and introducing strategic discomfort. We want solutions. Now, we're going to be looking at 3 different methods of how to actually introduce strategic discomfort. These are going to be more structured, because at the end of the day, you don't necessarily want to do it just randomly. You don't really, like, it'd be great if you can. I mean, go and just go to the shops and talk to people if you really want, or walk around a shopping center and chat to people. You might be seen as a little bit weird, but I guess it depends upon what your goal is at the end of the day. We're going to have 3 different methods. The 3 methods are micro exposures, controlled chaos, and seasonal pushes. Kicking us off with method 1, micro exposures. It's just a small daily challenge. A couple of examples of this could be something as simple as a difficult conversation per day, 1 uncomfortable training set, 1 piece of content posted, 1 outreach message. That's it. It's essentially teaching your nervous system to tolerate growth. It's teaching your nervous system to tolerate discomfort. If you can stack a win every single day, they compound. Small exposures compound. 1 message a day to a person who might be interested in your services, or 1 difficult conversation, or 1 hard, uncomfortable training set that you're pushing to complete failure. Obviously, please do that safely. Any of these types of things are going to help you long term. The more content I've posted over the time, the better I've become at actually being able to post content. I used to have such a what's the word for it? I used to be so scared to post content. I really did. I would be so irregular in my content schedule that it wasn't funny. I could go weeks or a month or two without posting. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, you can't do that, especially as an online coach. You have to be showing up regularly. And now it's got to the point where if I need to film content or I need to do any of that, it's like sweet as bang, set everything up, get it all done, uploaded straight into CapCut, edited, up and fucking done within about 30 minutes. Whereas before I would have spent 30 to 40 minutes just sitting there, just, oh yeah, I've got to do this. Oh, actually, well, I don't go do that first. And oh, well, I'm going to go do that as well. Actually, I better go do this too. And just putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And at the end of the day, the more I've done the thing, the more I've leaned into what scared me, the better it has become and the better I have gotten at it. And am I good at making content? I don't know. I guess that's up to interpretation. I don't hate it as much now, and I actually don't mind it. I think sometimes it can be quite fun depending upon the content that you're making. But obviously there's so many different levels to it and you just kind of need to find what works for you. But as I said, small exposures compound. One small thing every single day that allows you to push yourself out of your comfort zone to build a compound of evidence. Evidence, evidence, evidence. Once you have evidence that you can do the hard thing, then it's easier to carry that over into other aspects. Number two, method two, controlled chaos. It's deliberately placing yourself in environments that push you. This can be something such as competing in a sport. If you're training and you've set yourself these goals, let's say, for example, I'll just use running, for example. So I've set myself running goals. And I could have just very easily set myself these goals and just been like, yeah, cool. I've got them. But what takes that from a thought to an actual achievable result is locking in dates, is setting yourself a timeline to be like, okay, I'm going to do X at this date. That is where I'll test my 5K or my 10K or High Rocks is at the end of the year. That's where I'm going to go and do that. These are the dates that are going to be set because it's that in itself is going to place me in an environment that will push me. Attending events where you know no one, rocking up to random one-day workshops or going and doing like short form courses that run over multiple days or something like that where you know no one, not taking a friend with you, not doing any of that, turning up on your own because you want to be there for yourself. Now, I have gone and done this myself multiple times and it's fucking a bit rough to start off with. When you walk into a room where you know no one, it's weird. But at the same time, a lot of the people who are there are also doing the same thing. And at the end of the day, you guys have something in common because whoever's there is chasing some form of growth in one way or another, whether that be to learn new things or they want to learn a certain skill or they want to push themselves out of their comfort zone. You're there together. So go and attend an event where you know no one. In 2 weeks' time, next week, I should say, which when this podcast comes out, it'll be this week. I am going to Chris Williamson live. I've bought a ticket by myself and I'm just going to rock up on a Friday night to this event because I really wanted to go and I didn't really know anyone else who wanted to go either. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to miss out on attending because there's no one else that I know that's going. Similarly, in the past, I've gone to concerts solo. When I was living on the Goldie, I've driven to Brisbane more than once on my own to attend a concert by myself because at the end of the day, I wasn't going to be willing to miss out on a life experience or something that I wanted to do just because I couldn't necessarily find someone to go with at the time. That would limit my growth. That would limit me. And I wasn't willing to do that. So finding these types of things, setting yourself business challenges or setting public commitments. When you put something online or on socials, commit to it publicly, commit to it live, set a date for an event. Set yourself business challenges. I want to be making X amount. Well, if I want to make X amount, I need this many clients. If I need this many clients at my current close rate of X, I need this. If I need this, then I need to talk to this many people. If I need to talk to this many people, then okay, cool. This is what I need to do every single day. And it's like bang, 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 bang. You've taken yourself from where you want to be. You've built it out into a framework that you can apply day to day. And it's now become something that you can actually live by. You can set the standard of this is what I need to do every day to achieve X result. Once you do that, it actually becomes super easy and you can apply that to different aspects of life. These types of environments where you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, they create positive pressure. Pressure forces adaptation. If you're not sort of pressuring yourself, you're not growing. If you're not putting yourself a little bit in uncomfortable situations, you're not growing. It's as simple as that. Method 3, seasonal pushes. Now, we've all heard about these because they're a very important concept. What they are essentially meaning is because you cannot live at maximum intensity year round, you cannot be balls deep in a deficit and pushing strength training and pushing running and pushing business and pushing this and pushing that and all of these things at once for forever. You just can't. You will probably burn out at that point. But what you can do is you can do it in cycles. You can do it as 30-day sprints. You can do it as a 12-week push. You can do any of these types of things. Let's say, for example, we're going to use a 12-week push. We're going to be doing aggressive training, aggressive learning, aggressive output. Now, that's going to be for 12 weeks. If 12 weeks sounds like too long for you, you can do it as 60 days. If 60 days sounds like too long for you, do it as a 30-day sprint. To the back end of last year, I did a 6-week of intense block working with Trav Cochran, the mindset technician. And that was essentially to reshape and rewire a lot of the ways in which I was showing up as a person. I then tried to follow it up with doing a 30-day sprint across the board. I actually didn't do very well in the 30-day sprint, not as well as I would have liked to have done. I probably overshot the mark a little bit with the commitment just purely due to the fact that I had already done a 6-week fucking hard push. Now, mentally, emotionally, physically, I'd pushed really hard through that initial 6 weeks. And then to try and back it up with another 4 weeks, I found that unfortunately my brain, my body, all of it, it just didn't respond very well. In hindsight, what I probably should have done is the 6-week block, allowed that to integrate for 4 weeks to see the standards, see the routines, see the habits that had been built through that come to life completely, and then pushed for another, then done a 30-day push from there. These are all ways in which we learn though. If we don't know, if we don't try, then we can never know. So set yourself these goals, set yourself this time frame and be like, okay, for the next 30 days, I am locking the fuck in. That means 4K steps a day. That means 4 training sessions a week. That means 3 cardio sessions a week. That means sticking and tracking my calories 7 days a week. 30 days is a little over 4 weeks. If you can't commit to 30 days, then you do not want your goals. If your goals aren't worth you committing for 30 days minimum, then I don't know what to tell you. You don't want what you say you want. And that's fine because you don't need to want whatever it is you think other people might want you to have. If you don't want to do a specific thing and you can't commit to that for 30 days, then as far as I'm concerned, you don't want it. Simple as that. But if you can commit, if you can put in the work, if you can put in the effort, if you can show up for yourself every day, I can promise you that at the end of 30 days, at the end of 60 days, at the end of 12 weeks, if you decide that, you will be a different person, a better person. And not better in the sense of there's something wrong with you right now, but better in the sense of you are closer towards your goals. You have built and established new habits. You have built and established new standards. You have shown up for yourself in ways that you haven't previously. And that is going to carry you through to life. Show up for yourself in training. It'll carry you through to work. Show up for yourself at work. It'll carry you through to your personal relationships. Show up for yourself in your personal relationships. You'll be able to show up better for your partner or your kids or whatever the case might be. Showing up for yourself first and foremost across the board is the key thing that you need to do. Gang. And to also understand, because this is quite important as well, and I kind of just briefly touched on it a little bit within that last segment, but when to pull back, because as I said, you can't just push forever. You will probably burn out if you try and just push everything constantly, running on fumes, and then all of a sudden you burn out, you're sick. You can't do anything. You've got brain fog. You're fucking mentally just drained, physically exhausted. And so understanding when to pull back is probably just as important, if not more important, than the push phase. Now, remember that there is a difference between pulling back because you're self-sabotaging and you want to be comfortable, and pulling back because you understand that as anything in life happens, sometimes we need to go slightly back to continue to go forward. The old analogy of a bow and arrow, you have to pull the arrow back before it can be shot forward into your forward trajectory. Without that back pull, you can't go forwards. It's the same in life. Without being able to rest at certain points, you need to, it's going to be hard to actually get through this, because at the end of the day, discomfort must be intelligent. It's intelligence. Understanding that not every struggle is productive. I mentioned it very much at the start of this chat about how just being busy for the sake of being busy isn't the same as being productive, isn't the same as actually attributing towards your goals long term, because there's growth discomfort versus destructive stress. When we're essentially looking at this, we want to be looking at some of the examples of, some warning signs that we can look out for is chronic exhaustion, losing joy in everything, injury risk, constant emotional volatility, loss of relationships. By us pulling back strategically, this can allow those to not happen. We run deloads in training. We run diet breaks with nutrition. So it makes sense that from a stress perspective, we also allow our brains and our bodies time to recover. Generally, if you can try and combine a few of the things at once, that will allow yourself to be better. Last week, for example, I ran a deload. Probably didn't run as much of a deload as I should have run, but mine got to the point where I was just fucked, chronically exhausted. I had no joy or desire to train. I would not say emotionally volatile, but I was irritable. And I knew that when I was starting to get more irritable day to day and my sleep was turning to shit, despite the fact that I was always tired and I had brain fog to the point where I just couldn't concentrate, I was like, well, you know what? I've probably pushed for a fairly long time here. It's time to pull back so that I can continue to improve on the way forwards. We run deloads in training because what we want to essentially do is drive an adaptation. We push for a certain period of time. We bring the fatigue down, which then allows your body to continue to progress up to the next level. We're going to essentially be protecting you and protecting your long-term investment by strategically planning rest. And again, that's not rest at the cost of progression. That's strategic rest. Don't just be like, oh, I'm a little bit tired today, so I'm going to take the day off. No. That is understanding, well, okay, cool. Take today, but don't take tomorrow. Take this morning, but don't take the afternoon. You need to understand that there needs to be a push and a pull. Otherwise, if you're constantly just pulling back and constantly trying to give yourself rest, then you will never achieve anything that you actually want to achieve. At the end of the day, comfort is not evil, but unconscious comfort leads to stagnation. Growth happens when you intentionally step into difficulty. You don't grow where you're comfortable, you grow where you're intentional. Intention matters. Becoming comfortable, it kills all progression. Comfort is the killer of so many dreams, so many goals. I've been personally guilty of it more times than I can count, and I've seen countless others become so comfortable within their own selves that they sabotage for years on end, and they don't know how to get themselves out of the cycle, because then all of a sudden it's gone from just something that was an occasional thing to something that happens all the time, and they're just spinning their wheels for years and years on end. I guarantee you, we do not have enough years in our lives to just waste years at a time spinning your wheels, getting nowhere, doing nothing. You need to be progressing. It's as simple as that. And if you don't want to, you're not going to be listening to this podcast, that's for sure. But one thing I want to encourage anyone who is listening to today is to choose one area of discomfort this week, not 10, just one. Pick one area of discomfort that has been mentioned within this podcast that you can take control of. It can be training, it can be nutrition, it can be financial, it can be personal, it can be work, whatever it is, pick one thing and do that thing this week. Then from there, I want you to ask yourself, and you can answer me this. You can actually send me a message and answer this question if you'd like. Where have you become too comfortable lately? Have a look at your life as a whole. What is one area in your life that you feel that you have become too comfortable? Is it training? Is it work? Is it relationships? Is it your personal growth? Where is somewhere that you have become too comfortable? And what is something that you can do to actually fix that or correct it or push yourself out of that comfort zone just a little bit? Whatever that is, take action within the next 48 hours. Please let me know how you go. Beyond that, that is today's episode. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. As always, if you have any questions, queries, comments, do not hesitate to reach out. I love having conversations with people about all of this stuff. I love when people message me about the potty. Share it with your friends. Put it on your fucking Instagram story. I don't know. Share it around. Get it out there. Help me to help more people. Beyond that, I hope everybody has an absolutely fantastic day and an even better week. I will speak to you next time.